happens when you show up on time?
Okay.
The exalted ruler has spoken.
Wait, you keeping the heat in?
Well, is it echo too bad if the doors are open, or is it okay?
I think it's okay.
We need to welcome.
Did it for
All right.
years that way.
So it's just about 6 o'clock on May the 2nd. We missed May Day here. And I'm going to call to order the regular select board meeting. First item is to approve minutes from last time, which was April the 18th. Could I have a motion to that
So
effect?
moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Everybody, I was not at this.
59 minutes, by the way.
I was at the absent.
6:59.
So is that duly noted in here, 59 minutes?
6:59.
Yeah, okay.
Something to shoot for.
All right, there we go. Any discussion or changes or anything in the minutes? All right, all in favor of approving the minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I abstained from that if you care to write that down, because I wasn't here.
Incidentally, that was mostly because we postponed like 3 things to tonight.
Oh, is that the tactic we use? So coming right up.
Kicked it down,
Set
right?
adjust agenda.
There you go. That's why I let you on my secret.
So the one thing Sean noted is let's flip the order of the executive session items into the front seat coffee loan request first and the yellow barn thing second, because in case we want more info from Tobin in executive session, anything private, then that would be easier on him.
Eric, I have one other item.
Yep, we got.
You just have, you need to sign off on Town Health Officer recommendation form for Richard Brochu. He's going to continue his assignment. So I
Good.
guess that would be motion, and then you would sign off, I think, is how that would work.
So let's do an item number 7.
Don't we have to approve the minutes? Oh, we
No,
did, you
we're
abstained,
adjusting.
sorry.
Yep. So let's add an item number 7, Richard Brochu, Health Officer, right?
Yep, it's Vermont Department of Health, Town Health Officer recommendation.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have included that initially.
Nah.
Move that we approve the amended agenda.
Is that all?
Second?
Any other changes? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we're going to roll with that slightly adjusted agenda. Next, communication from the audience. Alberta. Hello.
Hello. So I just like to make that announcement every year before we get to tax week that next Friday, May 10th, property taxes are due. Town offices or town clerk's office is open 7 to 7. We accept postmark, drop boxes available to the right of the front doors. But please get the word out and get your taxes paid. Thank you.
When is water and sewer due?
Oh, water and sewer is due the following week on Wednesday, May 15th. So that is another bill that is coming up, yes.
But those bills went out more recently, so it's easier to
Yes, so
remember.
those people, yeah, it's easier to remember those, yes.
Yeah, all right, thank you. That's a good public service announcement. Everybody else is here for a purpose other than communicating. All right, next is town manager report. Sean, tell us about what's been happening in your world.
Okay, so we are continuing participation in the Yellow Barn project planning, and we have been ongoing assisting with the permit processing and other related activities. On the Judavine Library, just remember that we're going to be merging what was the old senior center and where the library is, so that we can, if things progress on the library improvements, we'll have one piece of land there. So I've been working on that in consultation with the town's attorney, Bill Davies, so things are progressing nicely there.
Good.
We are doing continued work on a couple different components of the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail. We are for what we're calling segments 4 and 5, and at the last meeting, Wiz had mentioned that we had this site visit with USDA, State Historic Preservation folks. So we're keeping in contact with them. We're trying to get some things sorted out in regards to what are the requirements for us to do in regards to archaeological assessments as a part of this overall project. So we're working through those issues in consultation with the State Historic Preservation Office and USDA, and have been having ongoing communications with the VAST officials and V-Trans contacts about this. Another project tied in there is the Creamery Road project. We are using Summit Engineering for some design on that. They're at a point where they're going to reply to V-Trans about some of their comments on conceptual designs. So with both of these projects, the intent is we're trying to get to construction in this 2019 season, so hopefully we're going to see some things move on improvements, within the town boundaries. We're working through this. And then related would be some bridge deck work that is coming through Northern Border Regional Commission work and support from V-Trans. Some work probably progressing on the 2 bridges east of the village area as well for decking and railing work.
And we just had, sorry to interrupt, Ken Brown just emailed this week that he's having somebody, I think from V-Trans, out to look at those bridges next week.
Yep.
Or is it this week? Next week?
Yep, next week. Have ongoing interaction with our engineers for the Bridgman Hill project, Bridgman Reservoir, excuse me, and drinking water program. We're on target at this phase. We're getting our preliminary engineering in order, and we're on the same timeline that we would have been on prior to having the problem with the roof, and the intent there is we have a completed project by December of 2019, so everything's in good order there. Did work with Sherry on, Sherry did the lion's share of the work, but NEK Arts has put together a grant application to the Vermont Council on the Arts for fire escape replacements for townhouse, so that's in the works.
Oh, awesome.
Gary Michaels came in on behalf of Grace and talked a little bit about the Mill Street mural project recently, and I believe that's in the packets if I'm not mistaken.
And we got photos via email as well.
Yeah,
and
so
information.
on that, just so everybody is aware, the murals are done. They're waiting for things to dry out a bit, and then they'll be installed May/June. Just a detail there, Gary expressed, and maybe the select board already knew this from when the project was started up, the intent is that the mural would be kind of donated over to the town, once it's installed. We kind of take it over, if you will, which I think is fine. I don't see any issues there, if I can say it that way. Let's see. Receiving information.
Tom's got it, don't worry.
Sounds to me like we just got to make this project for Tommy.
Well, the context there was more just about ownership of it, I guess. That's it, so.
Not like there's anything that's gonna happen.
Well, there could be a project
It'll either
of
get
pressure
knocked
cleaning
over.
the wall, but, we'll see. That's something that could be in the works just for the visual aspect of this. We've had some additional communications from Cheryl Michaels. Just recall that back in November/December, some folks, the group out of East Hardwick was just asking about, the speed limit issue with Route 14, their requests, sidewalk cleanup and painting of crosswalks. And what I would report at this point is we're getting our information in order just to evaluate those things. So what I would anticipate at this phase is on the May 16th select board meeting, we'll have some agenda items on this particular topic for the select board to consider. We did host the State Highway Safety Office, formerly known as the Governor's Highway Safety Program. Personnel came in, met with Chief Cochran, Casey, myself, Officer Mitchell took part in this meeting as well. And it's a part of a yearly review of the grant monies we received through the program, just making sure everything's in order. And we got a very favorable report, and things are in good order due to just our good reporting, the good work from police department personnel, and everything's in good order there. We are, maybe the chief's going to talk about this a little bit later on, but we are reviewing dispatcher candidate information now, and we do have a number of interviews scheduled in the near future. Did meet with Danny. Danny and I talked about the ATV ordinance, and actually this is going to happen later in the agenda. There's some additional requests to adjust the town's ordinance, so I won't comment any more on that, but just pointing out that Danny and I met to talk about this. Do have the parklet information, ordinance information for the select board for this evening, so that's going to be further on down in the meeting. And then have been coordinating a number of tasks for startup of the townhouse. I think most folks are aware we got Vermont Vaudeville kicking off the performance here tonight, so generally speaking, everything's in good order. And then also doing some work in cooperation with Wiz on the depot building. We're getting a painting request for proposal in order. Anticipate that being, for the exterior of the building, excuse me, anticipate that being released in mid-May. Tom's going to report on various public works activities, but, you know, there's been a lot of work going on by the public works crew, highway guys, water and wastewater guys, this past month, past 6 weeks, and positive progress in a lot of respects. So I appreciate their good work. You know, I think everybody's aware, the highway crew and all of us really had a pretty tough winter, and it's nice to be transitioning into some spring cleanup, so we're getting there.
You'd rather plow? No.
So, and then just lastly, you know, continued interaction. We do have a probate court attorney that has been assigned in this past month for distribution of the assets at the Cary Road property, excuse me. And the most recent update on this item is that the possessions in the ranch have been inventoried, and as well as the double wide itself, you know, as you're coming into town on 14. And the steps now are being initiated to go to arrange for a public auction of these items. With what I know right now, I'm definitely anticipating, sorry, that's, I'm hedging my bets on this. I would anticipate this is going to be in 2019, where the items are going to be resolved, and then the ball's in the town's court in regards to, okay, what are we going to do with removal of the house, and we decide how we're going to proceed.
So after that, after the probate court thing closes out, so after an auction and whatever else has to happen, then everything, all the personal property and stuff on the real estate is gone, or at least anything that anybody cares about is gone, and the rest, and it's up to us.
Any claim to anything there will be gone.
Right,
That's the important
there we go.
Yeah.
The physical stuff, I'm guessing most of it will still be there.
If it's movable and there's some value, the heirs would have the opportunity to, you know, depending on what the probate court decides is
Yeah.
movable and you can take it,
Yeah.
then it will be
Within value
going.
will be gone. The rest will be ours, I'm guessing.
So I did ask about, you know, I talked to the auction house representative 3 weeks back when they were here to do their initial site inspection. So I did ask about, well, look, we got a skidder, we've got some other big pieces of equipment. Are we going to end up, you know, liquidating that stuff? His response was, no, we're going to do our best to something like that. We even will auction something like that. And if it goes, it goes. Hopefully they do. You know, these
And
items
that's
do
all
go.
organized through the probate court?
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
But we do have an issue that, because the trail, because, you know, we have the go around Alfred's house. He came in, and Sean and I talked about that as well. Anyway, the fence is falling in, so we're in a situation.
By Alfred's house?
Yeah.
Or by, okay.
But honestly, now with the town owning both those properties, we should straighten that trail out and do away with the whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole go-around.
Because the town has owned a much wider swath through there the whole time
Yes,
for the trail.
yes, but we go around the house out of the goodness of our heart.
Yes.
Because we're right around the bottom.
Right.
The right-of-way comes straight out through, so we...
And across the road and through some other houses.
Yes, but now we should go back a little further, I think, and come onto the Pat property.
So it's not hard turns.
It's hard for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
But the
So
problem
now
is-
we're on Alfred's property.
Well,
out there
technically, we're on the bottom
side.
property with an agreement, yes,
Right, right.
Because his
So we
house is on our property.
because his house...
Right, exactly, but we could just get onto our own property.
But we could, yeah, it would be a better place if we were on our own town property
Yeah, yeah.
now, but the problem is the junk, the debris.
For another time.
Topic, yes, we have to, yes, agreed.
I'm just
We'll do
saying,
it.
It'd be nice if we could figure out a way to...
And we need a surface through there that's not sand.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome.
Anyway.
So
2019 means next year.
does not.
Well, somebody's gonna have to fix Alfred's fence this year.
There's a couple sections that are falling in.
Yeah, I'm done in the last 3 minutes, don't count toward my time.
I'll take the 3 minutes.
I hit my timeline, 6:50.
All right.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'll
Thank
be
you,
the
Sean.
bad guy today.
Too bad that you don't have enough to do.
I was just mentioning it would be terrible to have to wait until the end of 2019.
You have 5 seconds, Danny.
I'm done.
So let's work on
I think we can get it done,
Yes.
yeah. Next up is road foreman report. Tom Fadden, do tell. What are you doing? You're not plowing?
No,
Okay,
no, maybe, but I guess.
okay.
No, actually, we've been making pretty good headway on grading. Believe it or not,
good.
yes. We've gotten, first round pass on basically the main part of the roads. Some of the side roads we're not hitting, we're just trying to concentrate on the main routes right now. And we got Bridgman area done, we got Hardwick Farms area done, like Porterbrook, Pumpkin Lane, all that. Bailey Hazen, Dimmick Road, Mountain View, Ward Hill. Yesterday, we ended up finishing up the Hopkins Hill area, which is Stratton Road and all that, whole entire end. So the only area we got left, which should start on Monday, if weather's still cooperating, would be West Hill area, down Bunker, Cape Brook, and Marsh Road, and down through Tucker Brook and that end. So if we end up getting that done, then we'll have everything on the main drags completely done and regraded once anyways. And then we'll start over again. They're starting to heal up pretty good. There's still a couple of soft spots here and there on some roads, but they're not too bad. And, you know, everybody's trying to make a little triangle around them, so they're getting through okay. Like Sean said, the other guys have been out lawn cleaning and stuff and trying to pick up some sand piles here and there and do a little bit of sweeping ourselves. Been doing that. Been doing a little maintenance on the vehicles and stuff. I met today with the V-Trans lady there for the ATV stuff down on South Main. We got a guy going to water class tomorrow to take his test. Then me and Mike are scheduled to do classes next Tuesday for OSHA.
Got prices for, getting prices?
Yes, I met with 3 vendors for hot mix, so I should have everything back by the next meeting to let you know what all the prices are on it for our paving for the year. Try to get hot mix too on Monday, but the asphalt plants weren't cooperating over in Waterford. So they are up and running now. So hopefully next week, beginning of next week, I'll get a full load of hot mix. Cause who else? Gray's is not open yet.
How about
Berlin's not.
Hutchins is making hot?
Hutchins was broke down.
Was it? Cause they were working, they were spinning it the other day when I was.
Yeah. Monday there when I met with him for the price and stuff, he was having one of those
Oh,
Mondays.
that's why I wondered why you had a check with Flash.
Yeah. So I met with Hutchins, Grays, and Pike to get the prices for pavement, so I think that's it.
Sidewalk planning too?
Oh,
Sidewalk.
yeah. Oh, too much. Met with Jeff. We're gonna start ripping up the sidewalks in front of the Hardwick Gazette and get that done, cause he's in town, so he wants to button that stuff up, so we can pour the new sidewalks out in front of the Hardwick Gazette. And tomorrow morning, he wants to know if we can go up to the cemetery. We've gotta do some work up there, cause they're installing brand new gates up on the Glenside one. So we gotta dig some footings up there for them up there tomorrow morning, cause I think they said there's nothing scheduled till the following weekend, so, because that road's gonna be pretty well closed off when we start digging there, so. But I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I've had a few questions about the gigantic pothole going into the post office that always happens. Do they do that? Do we do that?
No, we do that. But
Yeah.
like I told Sean, I said we were gonna get hot mix. I don't wanna use the more coal patch, cause if we
Yeah.
use coal patch right now, we're gonna see that it's paved over and it's just gonna come back again, so.
And then on the way into the Union Bank too?
Yep.
And then on that road between,
There's some holes.
no,
Junction
the
Road.
road, Junction Road.
Out Hardwick, out through there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that is.
Okay,
yeah.
so it's coming.
Oh yeah, everything's on the hit list right now.
But we don't, I don't remember what we're aiming to pave this summer, but
Okay,
probably
right now
Wolcott
that's on the
Street.
scheduled for paving is Glenside.
Yeah.
Up by Richard Brochel's, which is Sumner Street.
Okay.
And then there's a little section off from Sumner Street there, a little 200-foot section right there.
Yeah.
Recoding over Summer Street and, what's the other one, Dewey, I think. And that would pretty well button up that end of town right there.
Yeah, it's Dewey goes up till like.
No Wolcott Street.
What about Mattville Road?
Bill Road, we got one pothole and that's up by the pond, or not quite up by the pond, but up by,
She's coming, so the seams are coming back together,
yeah.
settling down.
There is one. Yeah.
But I just see that, if you, well, you know, right out on the state highway out here,
She's thinking.
that's a bad one
Where?
there.
Yeah.
Huh? before they come and eat where that sag
really?
was.
Yeah.
Well, they did all that work on it. They all sag already.
Yeah, she's cracked good right
Now, that's not gonna stop till they get to the bottom.
Right.
Down in the bank and the river there.
So hopefully the asphalt, it'd be nice if the prices came down low like they did last year. If they did, then I'll probably come back to ask you guys if we can, like, do something like a shim coat down by Granite Junction or Abishon Hardware. Because the rest of the road out through isn't bad, it's just from the Union Bank out.
That's where all the traffic,
Yeah, so hopefully prices will be down.
and there's a lot of traffic between those two, that between them, everything is there.
And the industrial park's in the back.
The industrial park and everybody, yeah.
Although it isn't bad once you get past
No,
Union
once you
Bank.
get past that was all repaved, you know, and they didn't do the front section for some
And
reason.
the big holes on Wolcott Street will just get hot patch.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll end up just dumping it and I'll take the
Right.
bucket loader and I'll back drag it, make it nice smoother.
Yeah.
So, but
When's the street sweeper thing?
it's supposed to be here scheduled for the week of the
20th.
20th? Thank you.
You know, I think about the cost of sand, and I look at the amount of sand that street cleaner is gonna pick up. I think it's a shame we can't recycle it.
Oh, we bring it back over at the garage.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, we dump it, but I don't know where it goes, but you probably might only get a couple 100 yards or so.
Well, because you're not sweeping the back roads.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not
right.
sweeping the dirt roads.
Right.
Just,
Yeah.
And the other thing is it's full of garbage.
Yeah.
but there are no Mardi Gras beads in it.
I haven't checked it that.
In Louisiana, that's the way you know the parade is over, is a street cleaner comes, I mean, right up
Except all the-
against.
We got
But we got that, I mean, we're gonna still use our tool cat with our little sweeper and stuff.
Yeah.
We've already done that on a couple roads here and there.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
And,
It's helpful.
you know, but of course, boy, that thing makes dust bad, so we kind of gotta.
Do it when it's wet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
too wet,
just-
but,
And related to that, once that's done, Tom's, lining up, getting the crosswalks painted out and, getting that taken care of. And if I'm not mistaken, before Memorial Day
oh
weekend.
God, yes, everything
It's
will be,
always that,
crosswalks, everything will be ship shape before, yeah.
Festive time.
If you'll allow me, since Memorial Day just came up, we are all set on the coordination of the fireworks scheduled for Saturday the 25th, so community announcement. Rain date would be Sunday the 26th. So we're all lined up, and that's good to go as far as the fireworks show, so just so everybody's aware.
Okay.
And we did get a good number of donations from folks, so anybody who donated, thank you. That's a good thing for the community, so appreciate that. So we're in good shape there.
Good. Awesome. Yeah, next up is Hardwick Police Department report. Mr. Cochran, do tell.
Well, we have, for the month of April, you have the report there. We had 201 incidents for that month. The incidents included retail theft, multiple criminal DLSs, DUI, unlawful trespass, sexual assault. We had numerous motor vehicle crashes during the month of April. TRO violations, which is a temporary restraining order. Had a fire investigation in Greensboro, overdose, and numerous threats and harassment incidents, which were phone-related. You gotta love the new devices, so everybody has a cell phone, and it's not just adults, and it's not just kids, it's a gamut of them, yeah. Yeah, so we
You take
get a
away
lot
your
of those.
phones and Tell them to be good.
We probably should, yeah. It would make things easier probably, but, as Sean said, we met with it's now called the Behavioral Safety Unit, which used to be GHSP. That's their new name, so.
Thanks for the correction, Chief.
I don't know why it's that, but it doesn't make sense to me, but I guess trying to change the way you think about driving on the road, I guess, so. For the site audit, and as Sean said, everything was good. They matched up, they came in, it was a site audit to they just reviewed everything, talked about, what was working for us and so on. Matched up the equipment that we'd purchased with the grant funds and took pictures of that to take in. They have to report back to NHTSA, which is where the grant money originally came from, so everything matched up there, so we're all good with that. Today, one of the officers and I went up and put up the speed safety signs in East Hardwick. So we'll move those around up there. They've asked for me to meet with them on the 30th of June, when they're gathering, I guess. So we're gonna collect data, up there. We started today with that up there. We've had officers up there for several months. None of the officers have identified problems that were getting portrayed back to us. So these speed signs will be there 24 hours a day. We can take the data from that and, see what we got from there, so.
Or sometimes an officer being there slows people down.
It does, and the speed sign's the same thing too. So, it's hard, you can only do so much and hope
But
that
if the
people comply.
operator says slow people down, then it's working.
Right.
Yeah, when we're there.
Yeah, while you're there.
Writing a ticket is not necessarily what you're looking for. You're looking for compliance.
Right.
A
And
ticket.
sometimes just the presence
Right.
of the car or the sign.
Right.
Helps people comply.
Right. Yep.
So, yeah.
Let's see, we've been doing, as you know, we've been carrying Narcan for the last couple of years at least. We depleted our supply finally of what we had from our original training here a couple of years ago. We've used everything that the state had given us, so we did have to replenish that. I reached out to Health Center, actually helped us get resupplied, as well as then we were able to get a hold of Department of Health and they got us more. This past weekend, one of the officers had to use it, administered 3 units of Narcan to bring somebody back. So here in town, they were transported by ambulance and still alive as far as I know to this point, but it's becoming a more common occurrence. So Narcan, we're using Narcan on a regular basis now, so we're seeing a lot of fentanyl in the area as well as they are around the state. Fentanyl's a cutting agent, as you know, that they're using, which is a painkiller, opiate-based, and it's much stronger than the heroin itself. So very dangerous to anybody who has not been on heroin and opiate. The size of a pinhead could potentially kill a person that does not have, has not had an opiate addiction. So it's quite dangerous. It's most likely what put the trooper under here back a couple months ago when he did a car stop. So we're very cautious of it ourselves, wearing the correct gloves. We do have some simple breathing things if it needs to be tested. Most likely we're not testing it, we're just sending stuff to the lab to try and eliminate exposure to the officers as well. But it's a dangerous substance that we're seeing quite often. That's the most common cutting agent, and I think that probably could be related back to a lot of the overdoses, why we're seeing an increase in overdoses, because that's becoming a very common cutting agent in the heroin. And in fact, we also know that they're selling the fentanyl as a whole and not as a cutting agent. So rather than buying heroin, they're buying full fentanyl. So to get a bigger high, it's pretty dangerous out there with that stuff. So we're working through all that, but we restocked up with Narcan and we'll keep going with that. Let's see here. Oh, the other thing with fentanyl is actually we're getting reports of it being found in other street drugs that are non-opiate street drugs, which we're guessing that is to bring the opiate addiction and help the drug dealers make more sales type of thing, is why this is all being done this way. So, and we're seeing opiate. We've actually had some marijuana that tested positive for an opiate. So they're lacing even down to simple drugs like marijuana with opiates. So, and somebody that had that may not even consider that they could possibly overdose or whatever with that, so.
It's a brave new world.
So yes, it is. Yes, it is. last Saturday, we had we again did the drug take back, the DEA's drug take back. Some interesting numbers statewide. There were 6,562 pounds collected. That was the largest collected to date. Since the state's been doing the DEA's take back. So we're over 6,500 pounds. So that's a lot of little pills. So that was statewide. There were 68 collection sites throughout the state. For that. Caledonia County itself had 300 pounds that was collected, and here, as we were a collection site, we had 37 pounds here. So that's 6,500 pounds of pills and et cetera that are off the street, which is great. It's troubling that there's 6,500 pounds floating out there that essentially didn't get used or whatever, so.
Right, somebody paid for 3 tons of medicine that didn't get used.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do a public service announcement that you guys are a collection site all the time, not just?
Actually, they are. Healthy Lamoille Valley does our ads, and then we're on there.
Yeah.
We're part of that group, so.
We can always keep them up there.
We can
Yeah,
always.
we are a collection site, annually, year-round. Anybody can bring it up to the office. And do not take, we have had some people come in with needles and with, such as for diabetic, et cetera. We can't take needles, can't take sharps, and we can't take liquids, as well. We have no way to.
Creams?
No.
No.
So anything like that pill, in the pill form, we can take, and that can be destroyed, but yeah. Yep.
Thank you. All right, next we have, class.
There's a question.
Sorry. Doug.
Have you seen any carfentanil?
No.
No.
We haven't seen any in this area yet.
Have you seen, has anyone in Vermont been seeing it?
Not that I'm aware of. Yeah, but we don't always get all the reports from around the state, but yeah, I'm not aware of it in Vermont at this point. So.
Okay, thanks.
All right, next we have, Alberta has brought us some Class 1 liquor licenses, for Blackbird Bar Catering LLC, doing business as Blackbird Bar Catering Scalehouse Restaurant.
Oh, no, Scalehouse Restaurant shouldn't still be on there, I'm sorry.
Okay,
That,
I thought that was.
I was doing that really fast.
Yeah.
Here. Sorry.
Little cut and paste there.
Little cut and paste and I missed.
Not enough cutting,
Yep.
yes, too much pasting.
So,
Make a motion, wait.
no, go ahead, Danny.
Make a motion, we do it up.
Okay,
Second?
have we had any issues with,
No, and
Okay.
the reason that we approved this one is because they cater out of the Food Venture Center, so that's why.
right,
Because they're not actually based out of Hardwick, but they're catering it, so,
they do their food down here?
yes.
So, yep,
Just for the minutes, we're gonna drop Scalehouse Restaurant off the
Yes,
back end of
please.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's just, so.
Are they affiliated with the Scale House, or?
Not
just-
at all.
No.
No, it was a cut and paste error.
Oh, from another, last, okay, I get it. I understand.
Yeah, literally a rushing cut and paste error, so.
All right, so all in favor of approving a first-class liquor license for Blackbird Bar Catering, please signal by saying aye. Aye. All right, any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Alberta. You have something for us to sign? Okay. Next up, Select Board to discuss option to proceed in formation of a compost recycling task force for the community, and we have had some interest. And so we have
Carol is here.
Carol here, and we also had a letter from
Tyler's the other
Tyler.
individual, and he had reached out to me and said he was
Yep.
trying to make the meeting, but he's
Yeah.
not been able to make it.
So that's a small group to start, but it seems to be a group that's has some experience with this stuff, and so perhaps it'll be small and nimble, and could recruit others if they could recruit others, but maybe, I guess what I would propose at this point, we've been round and round on this, but to the board, that I think it would be great to appoint these folks to a task force that would go out, recruit some other members that we could also appoint to join them, and then they could do it, they could come back to us with a proposal for what might work for some ideas for composting in the village. Would you like to say, since you took the trouble to coming to our meeting, would you like to say anything?
Well, I would like to encourage more on the committee, because my understanding it would be 3 to 5, not 2.
Yeah.
I would like to know if there's any guidance. We read the law and interpret what we want to do to comply with the law.
Well, so to comply with, I think there are two different things. So, so there's a law that basically tells all of us as individual people that we need to keep our food scraps out of the solid waste stream, and we need to compost them. And the reason that we need some sort of solution, or that we're looking for some sort of solution here in the village, is that there had been a pilot program that Highfields Institute ran with some, no?
Central Vermont Solid Waste. I was the monitor, I was the hired employee for them to recruit people to do that program.
So when the pilot program expired, then we had some feedback from that it actually did have a fair amount of use, and is there some way to that the town could help come up with some sort of solution for composting in the village, basically. And it's not, it could be, I've heard lots of ideas thrown around for everything from, could we partner with the schools, because at least Hazen has a composting thing that they do. Maybe the students are interested, maybe there's, are you Tyler? No, maybe, or who knows, maybe there's some creative option out there that would be helpful for folks in the village. I don't think we're looking to necessarily solve the personal composting mandate for everyone.
So you're also looking for the village, Hardwick Village, not the town of Hardwick, just the downtown area?
Well, I think that was the idea, because
Well, the pilot program was for the town of Hardwick, and I suppose other people
used it, maybe.
brought things to it, but it seemed that there was the need was for folks who didn't have yards, maybe. I'm not really sure. When we ended that, when that was coming to an end, we really didn't hear anything from anyone. The first we heard was at town meeting, when it was commented on that the compost was missed. So that was months after.
It went on years, didn't it? Just sort of self-supporting,
It wasn't self-supporting. It was funded, it was set up through the solid waste district, and it was a pilot program, and so their programming, their input into it ended.
But from the time my 6 months employment with them piloting that program ended, the composting went on pretty well for some years until they stopped collecting it.
Supported it. They paid for it. We didn't. The town didn't.
But they collected it until they decided not to collect compost anymore, do composting anymore.
Went out of their budget. Yeah.
So I think it seems to me that it's fairly loose. It's just more trying to figure out what the need is, I think, is part of to me, would be part of it, and get back to us about potential possible solutions to it, or if there is any. Seems like to me.
Yeah, it's also possible that we don't have anything great, and here are the places that, you can bring it to all metals, and, But it would be great if we had a group of people who were interested in looking into that.
Maybe can we run another front porch forum ad?
Yeah.
The town manager, see if anybody else responds.
Sure. Definitely.
I'm happy to help, but I don't want to be a point person or a committee of 2.
Okay, fair enough.
This has kind of been our stopping place.
So,
I don't know, we can run another ad, but I think we back burner it. I don't see, we've been talking about this since town meeting, and it's May. So,
What's the time frame? When do you want to know the options? The law doesn't go into effect really for another whole year, does it? When
Well, we're
does
supposed
it
to be
happen?
composting now.
Now?
That's supposed, I mean,
The one that was put off was that wasn't it that the haulers were at first mandated to collect it, I think, and I think that was, if my memory's right, that's the part that was put off.
yeah. Yeah.
But it is an individual mandate,
Yeah,
right? It's not
yeah.
a town
No.
mandate. And, so we're not legally obliged to solve this problem for people.
But
Really,
if they're,
no one is.
It would be a
The
good thing
state
to do.
mandated it, and they didn't build anything in to make it possible for people to
right, exactly.
do it for free.
So right. So the mandate would be very loose, but we can wait and see if we get a little more interest and get at least 3. So we need at least 1 more. It's fine. Yeah. That's great. But thank you for your interest.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
It's important.
It is important. Great. All right, so Sean, your office will take care of posting something
Do it tomorrow.
and see if we can get at least 1 or 2 more people would be great. Awesome. Thank you. Next up is appointment of Hardwick Conservation Commission members, and
I make a motion, we
we have a slate in here.
appoint the slate of commissioners as given to us by the...
I think we should read them out. Do you want me to do that?
You can read them out, but I'll
Okay.
make the motion that we
Yep.
adopt the slate.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Great. So I'll just read out, so we have folks who were interested in serving on the Hardwick Conservation Commission that was recently established, and the terms will be 4 years, but they're staggered now so that they don't all expire at the end of 4 years. So we have Ben Pognier, I don't know how to pronounce that, as a 1 year, Jerry Schneider is 1, Norma Wiesen is 1, Judith Ruskin is 2, Ken Davis is 2 years, Nicole Davignon is 3 years, Reno Demers has 3 years, Rachel Kane is 4 years, Judy Belair's is 4 years. Isn't Reno R-E-N-O?
No,
No.
He's not?
no,
I don't know why I thought
Pronouncing it
that.
properly.
not that one.
All right. I don't know why I'd seen it that way.
In Reno.
Yeah. And the first meeting would be 7:15 on the 3rd Tuesday of each month in the Memorial Room of the town of this building, the Memorial Building.
Downstairs, right?
Yep, yeah, the downstairs room. All right, so we have a motion and a second for approving this slate of folks to get our Conservation Commission going, and any discussion?
Giddy up.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Motion carries, that's excellent. Start that.
Eric, if you'll allow me, I just want to say thank you to Kristen Leahy. She did a lot of work leading up to this point to help folks just get organized and get us to this point, so thank you to her good work on this.
Yeah, thanks, Kristen. All right, that is excellent. We did something. All right, next, item 4 is select board to discuss Caledonia all-terrain travelers for yearly review and minor amendment to the ATV ordinance. We did get this by email. I think we got maps.
Oh, I was supposed to bring something tonight, but it's not that big.
We got them, right? Didn't we get them by email?
We got them by email. It's the same one we got by email.
Yeah, it's the same one.
We got them by email, and Danny had described it, I think, 2 meetings ago as a change that eliminates that rickety bridge behind the pump station off Buffalo Street, which I'm sad about, and instead traveling down 14. And
Basically coming from my driveway to Macville Road to 14.
on Mac, I thought it was Macville Road, no, it's longer.
Currently, it goes from my driveway to Marshall Street, then
Yeah.
Marshall Street to 14.
but you're just making it all Maxville
Instead of doing that, we're
Road.
gonna go from my driveway out to Manville Road, give up Marshall Street,
Why are you giving up Marshall Street?
because we don't need it.
Oh, okay.
And it's
Why are you giving up Buffalo Street and the bridge?
because the bridge.
A lot of work involved.
Like that bridge?
I like the bridge. I mean, I don't like the bridge. I like that there's a bridge there. It should be a different bridge, but
Yeah, no, and it doesn't really fit
in the
our
trails.
model now, because we'd have to build a much bigger bridge, and it's nothing we want to spend money on.
Danny, I have one copy if it'll help you describe it.
Oh, yeah,
People
no,
can't
these
see it.
people all know where I live. The only other change is currently we go from, the Hemp Farm driveway, basically, on Cape Brook Road, to, it's open from there to 50.
Yeah.
But we have a large number of acres up Cape Brook Road on the right that we can have trail on, but so we need to go up Cape Brook Road to get there. And we're not sure exactly where we're gonna go up over yet, so we're just asking to go all the way to town line, because there's really only just one house two houses on the road that we're gonna use. Because when it turns to Woodbury, we can't go past that.
Is the town line all the way up to the top?
No,
It's not.
no.
It's pretty far up there.
Yeah, there's a turnaround where they turn trucks around and stuff.
Okay.
Says Woodbury's got a big sign there, that says, "No ATVs."
Really?
Yeah, you'll see it.
All right.
It's not very friendly, those folks there. So those are the two changes, the only two changes in the ordinance.
All right. And
And Adam Lane is here, he is,
Adam Lane and the president.
he's the president of the club.
okay.
I guess I was wondering about I don't think it's a huge big deal, but the Macville intersection's a little weird, when you're trying to pull in, you can't see around the corner, and it's already a little weird. It almost seems like it'd be safer to go up, down, even if it's longer around, go up down Marshall
Without
Street.
traffic, so what's the difference if you pull out there with an ATV or a car?
Yeah, I guess that's
kind of
true.
the argument.
Yeah.
The stop sign distance is a concern for the V-Trans too. That used to be the reason we couldn't do things.
Yeah.
But then they understood that what's the difference of the mode of transportation you're using at a public intersection. It doesn't make it any more dangerous with an ATV than it does with a Model A that might stall. So it's not about, you're using the mode of transportation as a judgment in safety, and it's not any less safe for an ATV than it is for anyone else that uses that intersection.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the.
Is it
And
really?
it's actually worse, Marshall Street's worse because people are coming down around the corner, for everybody.
There's better lines of sight on Marshall Street. But it's not much, it's true, because when you're coming down out of town, it's still not great.
No, and then again, the science says it's not the mode of transportation that increases safety or decreases
Is that
safety.
really true? Because I know motorcycles, it's a lot less safe to be on a motorcycle.
Well, yeah, of course, I'm saying that, you're talking about stop sign distance. That's what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Oh, because you're saying just in relation to
Right.
to that, yeah, okay.
Yeah, motorcycle's more dangerous than a.
Anything.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
It also stops us from going up over. When you climb up Marshall Street, there is more noise emitted because you're making that climb.
Yeah.
Very, very much. So, yeah, it's not safety wise, it's improvement, that's not what.
Right, you're just keeping it basically simpler.
Simple and it's safer.
System.
There's been a change over, and by the way, Adam's also the president of VASA, so he's my boss too. There's been a huge transition to managed use instead of prohibition all across the state. So the ATVs are out there now. ATVs are, if you put them in a place where you're managing, and put some perimeters around it, you have the ability to make it better for everyone, safer for everyone. So that's kind of the new model that people are adapted to. We've had limited use here for a long time, and we don't have, I don't believe we've ever had any problems, have we?
No, very seldom.
And when we do, it's not from our people, our members, it's just like anything else.
Yeah, you get people.
I met today with Commissioner Fish and Wildlife and the colonel from Fish and Wildlife, and we were talking about that, about a fee increase, and they were concerned that our people were going to be upset with the fee increase, and I'm like, no, the only people that are going to be upset about the fee increase aren't going to be the people that are paying the fees and getting the services. It's the people that aren't paying the fees. That's, them are the people that are going to be upset about it, because now it's gone up $10. Well, you don't register your rig anyway, so what's it matter to you, type of thing. It's where it goes, but.
So, I would entertain a motion to adopt the changes to the ordinance as presented.
I move that we approve the minor changes in the ATV trails around Hardwick as proposed in this request.
I'll second it. I guess I was wondering, do we need to, I think for amending an ordinance, don't we need to follow the same procedures as for adopting an ordinance, where you have to have a public hearing for it?
Oh, that's a good question. After we adopt it, the same thing? Like you adopt it, and then there's a period, and then there's a public hearing, and then you carry on?
I think
Well, if that's the case, and we don't want to do it, we're just going to do it anyway, because season opens the 15th, people. See what I'm saying?
No,
Yeah.
I think we should still carry on.
We have to follow the law, whatever the law is, so
Right.
if that's the law, then that's what we need to do.
So we can adopt it, and then we can, if
Well,
it,
but no, I think Lucian, if we're going to follow the letter of the law, didn't it say we had to have a public hearing before we adopted it?
no, I thought it was,
We
I thought
never
it
had
was
that
we
before.
Well, okay, so.
Tell me. I thought we had-
I think we need to have, don't we need to propose the changes and then have a public hearing, and then we can adopt it with or without amendments after the hearing?
Yeah.
And there's a 40-day wait period.
but we have to start it now in order to.
Right.
Right,
We set the public hearing and say that we're presenting this as what we want to present, is that what you're saying? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I thought we had to basically say we're gonna adopt it, and then I could look it up, but,
So,
do you know?
Many travels of this, I'm very familiar with Article 15. So basically, you guys don't adopt it, you warn it to your residents, and then if there is 10% of registered voters petition against it, then you hold a public hearing. If there's not, then within 60 days, it becomes law. It becomes,
That's the way I thought it was, but Lucian's got.
So there's language in the Hardwick charter,
Oh, okay.
right? I think that's where that came from.
I'm just going by the state one because I helped, before I came to Hardwick, I was in Roxbury, Northfield, Brookfield. I did my due diligence. Most ordinances are written that the select board can add or take away roads at their discretion.
Okay, which is what I said before, when you said I was wrong about the parklet, so we have an issue here where.
So that would be in this ordinance?
If it's written that way in that ordinance, then you guys can add and remove roads at your discretion.
So we can look at it right now and see if that's.
Oh, does it say that in
You
the
said
ordinance?
the select board needs to be in the ordinance, is it can be amended?
From time to time as whatever, and if not, we should have that language in there.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't say it here,
Why?
because I wrote this.
Oh, geez, here we go.
Only the newer ones that typically have that language in them.
And this was the first one, so. Well, I do know that this one has been adopted and amended
Well, Danny,
several times.
if we need to have that language in here, and you're wanting to make these changes, why don't you roll the two requests into one?
So that what we adopt has that
You know,
language.
I do this for a living, and you guys are starting to confuse me.
So that,
We can confuse anyone.
Yeah.
it's our job. I mean, that sounds like very good language to have, so that we don't have to go through. And
Right.
if we don't have it, and if you want to make some changes in this anyway, why not make all the changes at once?
Yeah, roll in the language, if we're gonna adopt it, let's roll in the language that says we can change it going forward after this.
Yeah.
If that's the case. Well, the information Lucian sent us about ordinances
I thought it came from the charter.
I thought that's what Lucian told us, yeah.
I haven't looked at the ordinance in quite a while on the snowmobiles, but what does that say?
Well, I agree with what Adam says, we have ordinances all over. Although I've been to 7 or 8 different towns since January 1, working with ordinances, if you have ordinances. And none of them have I've never ever had to have a public hearing before an amendment to it. That doesn't mean it's right. That's all I'm saying.
You looking it up right now?
I'm trying, but my connection's slow. Sean is looking too.
I mean, we have always operated just like Adam says, is select board has the power to put the ordinance in place. That's what the waiting period's for. The people have, I mean, it was a good example, that's what happened in Baldwin. Now it's lawyers, guns, and money up there. And that's exactly how the process has always worked. Happened in Danville the same way. Once the select board suggests the ordinance, the residents have to have a petition with a certain number of residents. And then you have a hearing, and then it goes to a town vote.
That's for a full ordinance.
And if there is no.
Right.
But here you're just making.
We're just making an amendment.
Contests it
For the road, so I don't-
goes through.
But under your section 1, the way this reads, authority, if you read that, it says it gives, the select board, regulating the time, manner, and location of operations.
Right. Oh, no, it definitely, I know the town can do it. It's a matter, what we're talking about is
Process is.
the process.
Can I offer this? I'm just doing a comparison against the dog control ordinance, which was put in place in, I think, 17, if I'm not mistaken. But at the very end of this ordinance, this probably is one of our more recent ones that we instituted here in the community. And at the very end of the ordinance, there's 6 items listed. The first, it shows the adoption history, so it shows agenda item at regular select board meeting, and then you can enter your date. Read and approved at a regular select board meeting, you enter the date. Entered in the minutes, you enter the date. Posted in a public place on, so this is after you've taken the action. That's item number 3. So you would post this in a public place. Notice of adoption published in our paper of record, being the Hardwick Gazette. You show when that was published, with a notice that people have the right to petition. And then number 5 is any other actions. I'm not a lawyer, but the way I'm interpreting this is we can take the action this evening, and then the public does have the right to petition. Which, if you look at the ordinance now, that's what's referenced in section 8.
Yeah, and if no one petitions, then it passes after that period of time.
Now,
Whatever it is.
And that's how I interpret it. But again, I'm not a lawyer, but that's how I interpret it.
In our example, this is like I say, I wrote this 18 years ago originally. So in our example, it has that stamped right on it, all that list right there that says, the ones that we pass out.
The adoption history.
The adoption history.
I'm interpreting that to mean we could move forward, but people still do have the right to petition if they're concerned. That's how I interpret it, but you guys need to interpret this.
If we desire to adopt an ordinance, the selectmen, they shall cause it to be entered into the official record, kept to their proceedings, and thereafter shall adopt it, subject to final approval after the public hearing as hereafter set forth. So first, we enter into the public record that we want to adopt it, and then we have to go through this public hearing thing. The ordinance shall then be posted in 3 public places within the town and published by title and summary, setting forth the subject matter, effective date, and penalty for violation in a newspaper general circulation of the town, together with a notice of the time and place of a public hearing to consider the ordinance for final passage.
You look at the charter, Eric?
I am.
That's for adopting a new one, though.
That is. It does not say anything about amending
Does it say
in
any
here.
further down? Is there a section or?
Here we are. You know what I think we should do?
Get a laptop, so everybody.
So we can go faster? I think we should adopt it.
I don't want it now, because I don't want to, season opens in 15 days. We'll just figure it out, stay where we are.
Just for what it's worth, Danny, you gotta wait 60 days anyways.
Well, that's why I don't want to do it now. I mean, that's silly. It's going to shut our season down.
Why? Why wouldn't you have the same?
Even if it goes through, you still have to wait 60 days for it to take effect.
I understand,
The regular
everybody's telling me
ordinance is
that.
still in effect
Okay.
until we
Well,
replace
that's what I'm
it.
saying,
Yeah.
but I don't want to,
So what's the harm in?
Come back in November.
well, I mean, silly, this whole thing's
I
silly.
don't see anything.
Nothing about amending.
What was that first paragraph again?
This is not charter, this is not statute, this is Hardwick.
Ordinance adoption on petition.
That's actually a quote, it's in all of them.
Regulating the time, manner, and location of operation of all dwelling vehicles.
That's what it's, that's saying, that's what the intent of the ordinance is, basically, so.
But I don't
I think the
understand why you
intention
don't
is
want to just why shouldn't we go ahead and start it?
Start the process.
So we could
Yeah.
adopt it, and if it turns out that we can't actually adopt it, but we need public hearing, then with the intent that would then set that ball rolling if the adoption can't happen, is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I think we should, according to this, what we're supposed to do is enter into our record the intent to adopt it, and then we go ahead and publish.
Just figure it out, so we know what's silly.
It's okay, just do this.
Ordinance in
Here's your
general.
thing.
Yeah, I think you're right, we should figure out.
There.
At some point, we're gonna need to talk to Vermont.
So, whatever, I'm not even here, I can't participate anymore.
So, but are you saying that you'd rather,
Anything about recusal.
are you saying that you'd rather not put this particular
Yeah,
ordinance
either
forward?
way, it doesn't matter.
Because it seems like we ought to get it rolling, because there's like a period of public comment, whatever, or public hearing.
If we're going to change the ordinance, we should change the language so that the select board can.
It would be.
But it doesn't matter, yeah, we need to settle that question internally, about ordinance procedure.
And whether that applies
In the
to,
charter, in the statutes, who wins? Because I agree with, I've never ever done it this way before. I'm just saying, so we can do what you gotta do tonight with this ordinance, but we need to figure that part out. I mean, the problem came up with the packet ordinance too, so.
Danny, would you allow me a question?
Sure.
Have you had amendments in other communities that have an ordinance? And how
Yes.
did that go?
This one's been amended, I think, 3 or 4 times.
yes, by this body.
By
us.
Pioneer.
By just motion action? By motion action?
Yeah,
And when we've opened up the parking ordinance or
yeah.
it's always the same. We adopt, and it gets posted for the period of time.
Right.
And then most of the time, nobody ever does a petition, and then it just automatically becomes,
Yeah, I've only, in
ordinance.
18 years, I've only ever had one ATV ordinance petition, and that was in Walden, in 18 years, and I can't tell you how many towns I've been.
I mean, that's,
It doesn't matter, still, the question's been raised, so.
Wrong in the interpretation of it.
We just need to
I think
figure
I was
it
the only
out.
one that just
Let's
brought it up,
pass
that's
this
what I
one, figure it
thought,
out. I mean, get it started, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, the problem is that, a couple of problems for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll work it out.
But if
we're gonna have
if for
to
some
go back.
reason, so if we, okay, so we have a motion on the table to adopt this ordinance, I kind of feel like we should just carry on that path. We can do our research after. If it turns out that was not a legal move, then we have to revisit it, and we're no further behind.
right. So a motion and a second? Did you
We
second
need a
it?
second.
No, I second
We
it.
already had a second.
Second.
Yeah, we
Motion
should
second.
second.
Yep.
So, all right, so, and, with the caveat that we're not entirely sure that we're following the proper procedure, all in favor of amending the ordinance,
Please vote for us next time.
please signify by saying aye.
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 I am not,
And we have one abstainer. All right, so, motion carries.
Good job, Al.
And we think, we need to do our research.
It's the way it's supposed to be, but it's the way it's been for,
Yes, because guess what our next item is?
Another ordinance.
but this is a new ordinance versus a
Right.
amendment.
I would guess if you're gonna follow that procedure.
Yeah.
It's gonna be for both.
Yeah.
Because an amendment would be opening up something new, so I'm just saying, whatever the procedure is, I believe it would be for amendment as well as a.
Unless there is the language, that
Right.
paragraph in there that says the select board doesn't have to go through this process.
You put anything on here, or you're
I can't.
abstaining?
Make an X.
X.
Okay.
Another one.
All right, so thank you all for suffering our confusion. Yep, that's fine.
Nice meeting you all.
All right.
Thanks, Adam. Everything went going good till you got here.
Next up, another ordinance. This is the parklet ordinance, as previously discussed several times. So, what we have, I don't know if everybody, so Sean sent out both the parklet ordinance as suggested to us by Sven and Christina, and the actual Montpelier ordinance, which they used as a template. And there were, I think, some minor differences between the two. And our guidance from our town lawyer was start with the Montpelier one.
You want me to offer a few comments?
Please do.
Okay, so, at a couple meetings back, the discussion was, let's just make sure that the town attorney is providing some input. So, did follow up with Bill, and Bill's, sorry, let me take a step back. We weren't asking for Bill to do a complete rewrite of the ordinance for the cost issue, and it's not good effort if you have a good model to work from. So there's only 3 locations in the state that have a parklet ordinance: Burlington, Montpelier, and their temporary assignments in Winooski. So the Montpelier example, as Eric just indicated, was used as an initial basis item. And to cut to it, what Bill has recommended as the town's attorney is we go ahead and use the Montpelier example. And what you effectively do is anywhere you see the city of Montpelier, you change out and put in the town of Hardwick. And I did email the board on a couple of other, they're not substantial changes, but we would run this through the planning commission, assuming we went forward, as opposed to the DRB. The DRB is referenced in the Montpelier version. And I did talk about this, this has been talked about prior. There was a bit of, let me just go down section by section here. There's a little bit of difference in the dates that were noted in the draft Hardwick version that was presented to us prior. And, these dates are a little bit tighter timeline for the version that's in the city of Montpelier's version. So, there'd be a little bit of opportunity to figure out what dates work best for our community if we decide to go forward. So that would be in your section 4 of the Montpelier version. That's chapter 20 parklets is what I'm looking at for the select board members now. The one issue that has come up prior is, this liability issue in the league. Just to get this again on the table, the league did say, we're not opposed to this, but obviously we got to make sure that the party, if you have an applicant that is approved to do this moving forward, it's going to be $2 million of general coverage and $4 million of umbrella aggregate. So that's a bit different than what you see in the Montpelier version. It's 1 million shown here. Go ahead, Danny.
Why the increase?
Just, I guess when you see an increase, they're just concerned that this is maybe a higher risk activity, I guess is how I would answer this.
So you didn't ask them why?
I did not ask them why. I made that, so I can't say, that was just the
They
recommendation.
provide insurance.
Go at a higher level.
That's where you're
I'm quite aware that's the answer, but...
That's not, and to be clear, that's not on the town, that's on the party that wants to have the parklet. And the other detail there is they would have to name the town and we have in our contract, we're held harmless.
Insurance company telling you, they're recommending that you should make somebody have more insurance.
Just point of clarification, they're not gonna be going to the league for their insurance.
I know that. I'm just saying there's a lot of things.
Danny's cynical about that.
Yeah,
Well,
so,
there's plenty of things much more dangerous that you can carry at still minimum $1 million, so. A parklet, come on.
okay, so I think, the other, anything else, Danny?
No, John, that's all. But next time somebody says you something silly, ask the question why.
Honestly, I didn't see it as silly at the time, Danny.
Yeah, well.
I really didn't. I was asked to figure out what's recommended by the league, and that's what they recommended, so that's what I'm reporting. The only other thing, obviously, is the city of Montpelier has fees on their parking spaces. That's in section 20.8, which is the last page of the Montpelier item. We don't have that arrangement set up, so that's a little bit of a different item there.
Yeah, because they base their annual fee on it's
parking loss.
25 weeks plus 3 days of parking meter loss, which is different for us.
Metered parking.
The other item that came up was, there was a little bit of discussion about how restorative justice in the city of Montpelier is, this is section 20.7, I'm sorry, I'm jumping back. Section 20.7, restorative justice, Montpelier has one, obviously, we have Hardwick area restorative justice. So for what it's worth, I just bounced this off Carol Plant, and she said, yeah, if this were to move forward, we can, we would be agreeable to that, to do the mediation if it were needed.
In my read of this, there are also other, we could do that. We could go through the restorative justice, but there are also, even if you, I think, eliminated that paragraph, it still gives due process for the parklet owner prior to actual termination.
Yeah, I guess for the good of the conversation, we're just, we're now just with our lawyer's input evaluating, that template coming out of the city of Montpelier.
Right.
If you make the determination to go to the public hearing phase, then we're going to fine tune, okay, is this date right? Is that date right?
Yeah.
And then that's what would be presented.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, so we could make a determination tonight if we want to move forward with this ordinance subject to all the changes that we've talked about, like changing the city council to select board, changing Montpelier to Hardwick, changing the whatever to the planning commission.
So moved.
Where's this moving to push to move it forward? To enter it into our minutes that we're going to propose it and move forward to a public hearing phase, post it and all that, right? That's where you're moving.
I'll second it.
More discussion.
So we need to have so what are we pushing forward? Which version are we pushing forward?
Montpelier's version.
Montpelier's version with slight modifications.
We're pushing forward the Hardwick version at this point, based on the Montpelier version, correct?
No, we're pushing forward, making these changes to the Montpelier version.
Starting with the Montpelier version.
Can I offer something? Is it okay if I
Yeah,
offer
go ahead.
something? I mean, the Hardwick version that was proposed, it just changed those dates. It kind of worked in those issues that I've already mentioned. So I don't think it's a problem if you went forward with the Hardwick version.
It's kind of the same
really
thing
the
as
meat
what
and
we're talking
potatoes.
about.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is germane to the discussion at this point. I would like everybody to recognize that even going to this hearing phase, there's time built in. And the other thing that folks need to recognize is if this does go and it flies, we're really looking at this being implemented in 2020. Because if you look at the Hardwick proposals, April 1 was the deadline. We're past that date. So just so everybody is aware where we're at, logistically.
And also, it's creating a framework whereby people could apply.
And then we got our application process and review and everything that goes along with that.
Right.
And the review is subject to a lot of things, including review with Public Works,
Police department, our office, yes.
Kristen, the zoning, like the whole.
Planning commission is going to have some say on this.
Commission. And most of Planning Commission's feedback, quite honestly, was not about the ordinance. It was about specifically having a parklet in front of the scale house, which is a related but different question. It's a specific instance.
So to be clear,
Really?
at the front of our packet, we have a Montpelier ordinance. And at the back of our packet, we have the Town of Hardwick ordinance, which is based on.
The Montpelier.
Proposed,
Yep.
based on that. So what we're discussing is the Town of Hardwick ordinance. It's in this packet, based on the Montpelier ordinance in the front, to be clear.
So Sean's nodding yes, so you're on it, and I was thinking we were starting with the Montpelier, but.
I understood Bill's advice to be, start with Montpelier ordinance and make the changes that suit Hardwick.
But Sean is reporting that after comparing the two, he thinks that's what we
That's what she
see.
did.
So that's this document right here.
Right.
This Town of Hardwick parklet ordinance item.
Okay, and.
So let me just be clear on this. The Town of Hardwick parklet ordinance item, 90%, 95% of the language you see there is exactly what is listed in the Montpelier ordinance. So it does, instead of City of Montpelier, it's Town of Hardwick. There's some tweaks on some of the
Just trying to
dates.
get a document that we're working from. 'cause
I understand,
this
Danny.
needs to be
Nope.
a draft.
Yep.
Because already we're talking about, I heard we had to change the
Well, if,
liability. So we need something to start with. This is what we're talking about.
Yep.
Right. Montpelier's gone bye-bye.
Right,
28 miles.
everybody's
that
with
way.
it?
if Sean has made that comparison.
So we need to, on the last page, we need to change the liability amount.
Unless, I mean, that was what was recommended by the league.
That's only the
but are you-
recommendation of the league, yeah.
But are you saying, Danny, that you think that
I think
is
what's good enough
onerous?
for Montpelier is good enough for us, is what I'm saying. Generally speaking, $1 million liability policy is what you carry in Vermont for doing business. $2 million if you're a skydiver, not if you're two coffee tables on picnic tables on the sidewalk. But it doesn't matter, that's kind of, we're not even there yet. We need to have this in a draft form until we thrash it out a little more, probably, don't we?
So the motion, though, that Liz made was to go ahead and push it forward and start making that, triggering the public hearing phase.
Well, that's what I'm saying, we've got to have something to do.
And we're saying that that's that.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
And
I don't think what
honestly,
he says that we can't, though. We need to have it. I think we need to have something before we move to the next phase, is what I'm saying.
Before we have a hearing, you're saying we should have something that we're all,
You gotta
that's
have
on board with.
yeah.
but I think that we're saying that that's it.
Right,
And the language of Vermont statute says after the public hearing, we can still make changes before we adopt it.
Yes.
So you have the whole hearing, we still have the latitude to make changes as we see fit.
That's fine.
So we can make, how does that work? So we can actually, we adopt it or not at the meeting? And
I think after I think we have a public hearing.
Yeah.
And then I think there's a time period after that where we can adopt it, we can amend it and we can adopt it as it is, we can amend it and adopt it, we can not adopt it.
Okay.
We need to shake this out, but anyway, yeah, so as long as we know what we're working
Well,
with.
a public hearing should help shake it out. And I
I'm
think
talking
it
about
makes
the
sense.
process.
Oh, the process. You think?
Yeah, I think that's important.
Really?
And we have a document now, so, and we have a motion. So let's
Draft.
whack it.
So, I guess we would, so just to be clear, the lawyer, our lawyer, has looked at it and given these sort of like a once-over, but he still needs to, he hasn't actually dug into it, or is he saying that would look good to him, I guess?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Well, I know you have a lot of faith in Bill Davies, but I don't think he outsmarts some Montpelier lawyers.
No, I'm just saying, I just wonder how much more resources we're gonna have into this before the meeting, is he?
So,
He's saying you need to.
the wording was this: you have the framework, or he's looked at what was shown for the Hardwick, he read through it, he compared it with Montpelier's, he said, this has the proper legal framework, now it's up to the select board to decide how you want to proceed. That was it.
So there's a motion?
So there's a motion,
There is,
Was it seconded?
yes.
and it was seconded over here.
That's right.
So any more discussion?
Do we go so far as saying when, or do we just coordinate on when that hearing date is?
We're gonna just coordinate after.
Okay.
We're gonna read up on when it needs to make sure it happens.
How many days it needs to be?
Yeah, how many days it needs to be
We
warned
should
and all that.
consult the attorney, other Bill Davies.
We could just read it. It's not that hard to read the statute.
All right, we're good. We read it earlier,
Yeah.
3 times.
It tells you how many days you need and everything. We'll just figure it out so
On
that
hearing?
it's.
On the hearing, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll get that detail in order.
Right.
We'll have that covered.
Right.
So I guess we could aim to have a hearing at the next select board meeting if there's time, and if not.
I think it needs to be, yeah, we need to vote on it
There's
first,
at
and
least
it's gotta
3
be
weeks here.
posted for a while.
There's at least 3 weeks here.
Yeah, so it's gonna be out of ways.
There's 60 days.
Right, Alberta,
Yeah.
on the public hearing, it's at least 3 weeks.
All right, so motion on the table to adopt the draft Town of Hardwick Parklet ordinance, or not adopt it exactly, but that we want to adopt it. We're gonna move forward to the
Public hearing.
phase. We're more in the public hearing. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions?
Was there one?
Yeah, I abstain.
Okay, make sure of that.
So, motion carries.
I'm not sure. I've been hearing.
Abstentions are,
I've been hearing- If we can have a public hearing, we'll air
they're not to
everything
be
then.
used because you don't want to vote no.
Was it abstention?
Yes.
No, I just didn't vote.
Yeah.
That's abstention. Yes.
Abstain.
Okay, so motion carries and we'll move that forward as outlined in statute. Or Sean's office will move that forward. We'll participate. Next up, we have an economic development loan application for Front Seat Coffee, the Tobin Porter Brown, you're Tobin. Excellent. Huh?
This isn't on our agenda.
Sven came probably for that.
Sven came for this?
For the last one, I'm saying.
Sven came for the last one, he didn't say anything.
No, I was late. Am I allowed to talk now, or is that?
Yes, go ahead.
So, Lucian, you had sent me a copy of the rules around the ordinance.
Yeah.
And the posting needs to be at least 1 week and not more than 2 weeks prior to the hearing. So, if possible, if it could get published so that it was at the next hearing, I would love that, although I realize you have other items in this and that. But it sounds like it's a 7 to 14 day publication for the notice, and then at the end, once it's decided, there's another publication requirement, which is, I think, the longer one.
Yeah, don't know if we'll get it in for that, but.
I think it was mentioned earlier before you got here that the dates as written on here, the application date was April 1st, so we're pretty much out of, if we adopt this, we're pretty much out of for this year anyway, so it wouldn't be until next year that there'd be an application for it, theoretically.
Well, unless that's something that you amend at the thing saying we're gonna allow them for the first year, whatever, I mean, obviously that's at your decision.
All right. Yep, and so we'll get the public hearing thing rolling.
Yep, definitely.
All right, so, back to Tobin. So let me just do a little background. We've had an application from you for an economic development loan to help start a business called Front Seat Coffee here in town. And I think, well, I won't speak for everyone. I know I'm excited about the prospect of more coffee. I think more coffee is better than less coffee. And so, do you want to just give us the, I know you've already done the application, but just give us the highlights of like what you're planning and for giving us coffee.
Sure. Basically, I started talking about with a few friends of how Hardwick could really use a coffee shop, and then that idea has really sort of grown to this proposal, hoping to open up a coffee shop in Claudia Gold's space, 101 South Main Street, which is in between Positive High and the elementary school, half of that first floor there. And it would be a breakfast, lunch, coffee, tea place for people to either grab and go food or hang out, stay, work on a computer, meet up with a colleague or a friend. Just really have it be a sort of a gathering place for people, focus on really sort of good quality food and ingredients.
And real coffee, like coffee drinks versus just coffee.
Yeah, so there would be an espresso machine. I'm going to be working with another Vermont.
Settle down.
I don't know if any of you know Carrier Roasting. They're in Northfield. I've been working with them a lot. I'll probably be working with them to get the beans. They've also been consulting me with just sort of the business viability of a coffee shop like this. Northfield is, I think, a very similar town to Hardwick in some ways, and they've made a specialty coffee shop be a very viable business. So that's a really good example. I've also been working at PK Coffee and Stowe and been learning a lot just sort of with their market there. A little bit different. Stowe, of course, is different than Hardwick, but I think that there's a really strong case for having a coffee shop in Hardwick. I'm really excited to be working on it.
Great. So, we've had your application. We have, in just a little bit, we have time on our schedule to do an executive session for a discussion. But are there things that folks want, that the select board would like to ask Tobin while he's here? That's appropriate for public discussion?
This is a yes or no question. You have, under financing, sources of funds. Is that your sole, is that all the collateral you're offering?
I am curious what the select board would offer with that.
It was a yes or no question.
Maybe we should discuss that kind of thing in executive session.
Well, that's why I asked a yes or no question.
Okay, yeah.
Is this it?
The equipment and furnishings is what I'm offering.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
So we can also, when we go into executive session, we can do that and invite Tobin if we want to have more detailed discussions about personal finance or things like that for the beginning.
What's your food situation going to be like? What kind of, just examples of stuff you're thinking of?
So it would be mostly quickly prepared foods, sandwiches, toasts, granola, yogurt, pastries, cookies, muffins, sort of a sweet and savory option, but I am hoping to not have a fully built out kitchen. I'm mostly looking at things that can be produced quickly by one or two staff members. So it's not necessarily made to order. I'm not going to have a dedicated chef in the back room cooking.
Others? I'll just circle back briefly to Wiz's point about collateral and your questioning what we're looking for. And I think we were pretty clear with the last person who came before us that we really want something fairly secure for collateral, because we were recently burned on a loan where the business looked good, and it was good for a while. And then the proprietor left to make peanut butter in Jamaica and left a lot of us hanging.
With some equipment.
Yeah, and we took equipment as collateral on that, and it turns out that equipment sold at auction after the fact is not worth nearly what you pay for it up front.
I would like to have the opportunity to talk more about the finances, if given the opportunity.
I think that's a good idea. We could
invite them for
if you have time, just it won't be too long from now, and we could have you come to the beginning of our executive session and we can have some discussion about it. Yeah, good?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions generally? Okay. All right, thanks, and we'll keep rolling, hang tight. Select board reports.
No, we had item number 7.
There's number 7, is written right there. Richard Brochu is health officer.
Do we nominate, move?
We move to approve, no, we're making a recommendation to the State Department of Health. We're recommending,
Read it.
what does it say?
Read it up.
It's a town health officer recommendation, and we're recommending Richard Brochu as our, yeah.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you, Richard.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Thank
Any
you, Richard.
opposed? And thank you, Richard, and I can just sign this, right?
That's correct.
And it's 5-2. Okay, so now select board reports. Thank you for catching me.
That is a pen, right? That is a pen, right?
I know it sounds like a pencil.
So vaudeville's at the townhouse this weekend.
And we're competing against them tonight?
Yep.
We are, among other
And we have a pretty good turnout.
among other things. And,
Really?
well, Thursday night's always a little bit
really?
less. But it's
They
sold out
sold out
tomorrow
Thursday.
night.
Yeah, I knew they
Saturday
sold
night.
out rest
I
of
believe
the
the only tickets are maybe for the matinee on Saturday. And yes, the Neck Arts Board got together and worked hard, and then I worked hard to finish, and Sean helped with Cultural Facilities Grant application that was submitted for replacement of the bad rotting fire escape.
Awesome.
So hopefully, but we don't hear about that until August 1st. But we do have to follow up with a few more bids. So Sean's going to help me with the RFP for
Just,
metal
you know,
fabricators.
fabricators, yep.
Yeah, metal fabricators for the actual unit. We're going to replace, we're proposing to, or applying to replace the two sides with a single side that is the proper, it has to have a landing because it's
Right.
way too steep and all that stuff. So,
And the water would go through it instead of splashing
it
back.
has to have a roof on it. The the fire marshals had a look at it and recommended that we put a roof on it. And
We're gonna do it. It's gonna last another 100 years, so let's do it.
Historical
Yeah,
folks don't
totally.
like the roof thing, but it's gonna be on the side where it's not as visible, so we're hoping that that's all gonna squeak through and we're gonna have a nice, safe fire escape.
Yay.
So we can, yeah,
Nice.
so, yeah.
Good. Good work.
I just want to say thanks to Tom and his crew, because they did some extras there around the townhouse this week, just to make sure
Yeah.
we're spiffied up, so
We're all
I appreciate
tidy.
that, so thank you.
We got a handicap parking sign again, it's not a Z.
It took a hit.
Yeah, it took a couple, I guess, yeah. But it's good.
Awesome. Any other select board reports? New business? Old business? I have one thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm gonna kick the hornet's nest. I've been running on the rail trail, so I'm going down towards the Yellow Barn, the Moyle Valley Ford. And boy, that is so close to being really passable, so close. And I'm wondering if there's a way we can just get that smoothed out, because
Well, we dumped all the bunch of gravel, but then it started snowing, so.
So I'm wondering if after Memorial Day, you guys could smooth it, or if not, maybe you could have a volunteer effort to smooth it or something, because you've got the material down there, right?
It's gonna take a few minutes to walk to get it down there.
Okay, so it could be it's an after Memorial Day task?
Oh, we could probably have done with it.
All the materials down there, pretty much?
Well, we kept dumping material down here. We
I
don't
mean, I
know
got
how
plans
long
to
we
do
dumped
a
it out,
track
but
loader. Can I go down with a track loader and just smooth it out?
probably could. I mean, they're just piled down there.
I gotta move it this weekend anyway, yeah.
And we probably should give a heads up to an adjoining landowner
You probably should.
who had concerns, and we had those concerns addressed by State Department of, I think, Environmental Conservation or something. And we said that the best thing to do with railroad ties is leave them where they lay, and the only time you end up with a problem is if you cut them so it exposes more surface area.
Right.
But if you're just leaving them on site,
Leave them
leaving them,
piled up.
bury them, whatever, that's all good. So we should probably just give a heads
We
up.
already have an opinion, though.
We
on
do,
that.
yep. And I can work with you to...
Just tell me tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you should let him know.
correct.
I'll run down and take care of it.
You will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I'll try.
I was
But
gonna,
make sure you let Tim
I could
know.
do it too.
I don't wear a bulletproof vest when I'm in my equipment, so.
We'll,
I don't want Jim shooting at me.
yeah, we'll organize so check in before you go.
Sounds like Aaron needs to ride along.
No, it's not like that at all.
He was concerned, so we owe the respect to let him know.
Yeah, he had a legitimate concern, and we looked into it.
We didn't have a problem down there last year.
Right.
I mean, we still got a little work to do, especially on that new culvert we put in. We still gotta put some stone on that and everything else, so.
But they got plenty to do.
Oh, and it definitely, having been down there, and other people were walking down there, and people were commenting that it did drain, that whole area drained really well with the work you guys did. Even when that week when we had the flooding in the Memorial and everything. Yep.
Culverts do that.
Especially when they're actually where they should be, and no trees in front of them. And, yeah.
Appropriately installed.
Yes, all those things. So anyway, all right, thank you. That was me. Anybody else? All right. I need a motion to go into executive session. We're going to do...
Second.
To include Tobin and...
To include Tobin and the town manager.
the town manager.
And we're gonna first talk about economic development loan for Front Seat Coffee. Second, we're gonna talk about real estate option for Yellow Barn.
Tobin will go right now.
So wait, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Good, we're going to executive session.
You done?